Hello, Future Shock. Are you there?
Good evening, man. You okay?
Hello, Cosmos. How's everything doing out there?
How's everyone tumbling?
Yeah, we're still moving, mate. Yeah, just as well, really. You know, we're still moving.
Yeah, well, you know what? Having to move around after watching that sports ball game earlier. Jeez, man. It got all right. It was all right in the end. Like, we were a little bit. Oh man, I tell you what, just watching England is such a fucking torturous watch. Like, every single game, apart from the Croatia game, it's been pretty grim.
It always is. It's always like it's like a sort of personal venture into your own psyche watching England, because they sort of reflect all of our own sort of insecurities. I don't know. I think you see when you see France. And I know France quite well. I lived out there. I speak French. And when you see the way the French play, they're all full of themselves. And I mean, they've got that confidence, borderline / arrogance.
They
know they're the best, and they put a lot of money into being the best. And they have that sort of, they think they are the best, and they think they're the elite. And it kind of is enough for them. We just don't quite have that, I think.
And also, we just don't have the tech. I mean, I don't know if you saw the France-Sweden game yesterday, but just beautiful goals, each of them, and just like the fluidity. But you look at it today, even Dr. Congo, they played better football than us for a lot of, like, every time they got the ball, they're like positive, trying to make things happen on the front foot. We get the ball and we're kind of panicking. We're kind of like, oh, you pass it sideways, or what do I do with it? Or, it's almost like
defensively, always those stupid back passes.
Yep. Yeah.
Those stupid back passes when they start being negative, and then they sort of start fumbling and then lose control of the ball.
Yeah,
I just don't know what it is. But when I see England, I think, it's like, it's sort of part of the uncertainty of being English, isn't it, these days, especially these days. But we don't have that confidence anymore that we used to have. The empire's long gone, countries being destroyed around us, and it's been like that, hasn't it? Sort of, since the 70s, really. It's been a downwards trend. I mean, the 60s was kind of an illusionary good time where we were just sort of being fattened up for the 70s and 80s, just to be sort of chopped, have all our industry sort of removed, and parts of our country sliced away and sold to the French. You know what I mean?
And I think in like football terms as well, in terms of England national football, I would say sort of mid to late 90s was the last time you had a team with a bit of swagger. You had a team that really believed in itself properly, because subsequent to that, you just had a lot of insecurity, I think. And part of it is the way that our sort of trashy media, mainstream media, sports tabloids and all that kind of like hype them up, and then at the very slightest mistake just completely like batter them for it. So there's that pressure that they're playing under. But to be fair, a lot of countries have that. Like the Spanish press is really on the Spaniards' case. I don't think the French press is as bad, but the Italian press.
The French press is not a kind of coffee.
The French press is a coffee, and it's also an overhead tricep extension.
Right.
Exercise. So there you go.
French get around, don't they?
They do a bit, those wily individuals, but wily coyotes. But yeah, man, next game for England will be at 2,200 feet above sea level against Mexico, who will basically be at home.
Yeah.
One of the form teams of the tournament. So it's a tricky one. it's a tricky one coming up on Sunday at 1 a.m.
They should have to sort of add an extra break after the hydration break. There'll be an oxygen break, or a sit down and catch your breath break.
They all take Viagra or something to get like the blood flow going again. But it's like, do you remember that Top Gear? Did you ever watch the?
Yeah,
Top
I saw that one. Yeah, they went to the Andes. It's quite funny, wasn't it? Before they went, they got a letter from Mr. Willman saying you're going to need Vaseline, condoms, and the Viagra. And, and it was quite funny. I think James May had the Viagra, and he was described as being suspiciously skillful with the KY jelly. That was it. Yeah, the KY jelly. I can't remember what they were using it for. The Viagra was so they wouldn't get altitude. They would be able to take in more oxygen. Yeah. What was the condoms and the KY jelly for?
Yeah, I don't remember that bit. Maybe I just blocked it from my memory. I don't know. But those specials, those Top Gear specials were elite. Every single time, every single one. There's not a weak one. Did you see the one where they went to Argentina and wound up the Argentinians that got chased out of the country, basically?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. The thing is, Congo aren't such a bad team, actually. I was just looking over their results. They're they're like little kings of Africa. They've sort of been smashing up African teams. They lost to Colombia in the World Cup, of course, but they held Portugal to a draw, actually.
Yeah.
Chile beat them, though. They held Denmark in a friendly in June to a draw. They beat Jamaica 2-0.
Yeah, that's how they qualified, isn't it? They beat Jamaica.
Yeah, but then Algeria beat them. So, so they're pretty dominant among the African teams, though. They held Senegal to a 1-1 draw.
Thankfully.
Draw with Nigeria, who kind of were always one of the African powerhouses of football. Beat Cameroon back in the day. Cameroon, of course, because they had in Italia 90. Remember that?
Yeah, it's
beat Argentina in the group stages, didn't they?
Yeah, that was when they had like the likes of Chami up front and all that. I think was their main striker then. Yeah, well, thankfully we didn't have a witch doctor from the Ghanaian witch doctor lifted the hex on Harry Kane, thus enabling him to score twice today, which was kind of him.
Well, it seemed like for the first 65 minutes of that game, it seemed like they had their own witch doctor. I mean, you've got to watch out these African teams. They may have, I mean, I'm all for these, whatever their sort of ancestral traditions and all that. But I do ask the question: are witch doctors? Do they have a place in the modern football game? I mean, should they have? Is there a witch doctor in the dugout with some goats going around? I mean, for 65 minutes, we were held pretty hard, and we had so many attempts. That goalkeeper was it's like a force field set up over that goal. It's incredible. We couldn't get anything past them.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Kane was pretty shit for the first 65 minutes. 65 minutes. But then so was most of the team, to be honest with you. But maybe we should just if you can't beat them, join them, right? So maybe we should just get our own version of a witch doctor.
What would be an English witch doctor? What would that
English version of that? I don't know what that would be exactly, but I don't know, some Freemasonic
It'd probably be Jimmy Savile, wouldn't it? It'd be someone like him rolling out, roll out Jimmy Savile, do some do some fucking evil magic on the. I thought, oh dear,
I wouldn't put it past him. But yeah, but yeah, I've woken myself up after that game, so that's all right. I mean, they've been in some of these England games have been proper, like the Ghana game and the Panama game are just being like insomnia cures, seriously. So they need to get their act together, England, because I mean they're not going to win the World Cup playing like that. Let's face it.
Yeah, well, they beat Croatia pretty well. I mean, I always expect they always sort of rest on the previous victories for the next game. They always sort of tend to have a terrible tendency to coast when they've done something good previously.
Well, we have this habit of winning our first game and then like drawing the second game, and it can kind of go wrong after that. But I was worried about, I don't know if you remember, I think it was back in 2000 and I can't remember if it was 14 or 18. I think at the Euros where we got knocked out by Iceland in the first knockout round after the group stages. And like when Dr. Congo were ahead for so long, I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be Iceland all over again. Because to be honest, like you're saying about Kane being crap, like we were having a couple of chances, but you weren't convinced that we were going to score. I mean, it was looking like nick something from a corner or a free kick or something like this. Because Yeah, we weren't convincing, but we just don't move the ball fast enough. It's kind of like you said before, it's sort of like backwards, it's panicky, it's what do I do? And I just feel like there's no set, or for whatever reason, there's either no proper set game plan that the players are following, or they just don't know how to follow it, or they're not used to it, or something like this. Because when you look at Congo, as soon as they got the ball, they all knew where to get, they all knew where to run, they knew what they were doing, they were fluid. Whereas you couldn't call that England team fluid in pretty much any of that game tonight. It was just all kind of like slapdash.
Yeah, they don't have any seem to have anything set up, do they? Any little runs or any sort of team play, moves where two of the wingers or whatever will run along and whatever, and like a sort of play. They don't have any plays, they don't seem to have anything rehearsed, nothing up their sleeve, which is.
Yeah, I mean, look, it looked better when Saka came on because, I mean, he's just obviously better than Madueke. I don't know how Madueke is even a professional footballer, let alone starting for England. But
yeah, my mate hates Madueke as well.
It's kind of unbelievable, the state of English football, honestly.
I don't like Declan Rice much either. I think he's a bit rubbish, but
I don't like him at right back. But yeah, that was weird as well. But yeah, at least with Saka there's a bit more guile. There's a bit more sort of end product. Madueke, the only thing he really does well is he can sort of get ahead of someone, but after that, he hasn't a clue what to do with it. Like the amount of times he crossed, or tried to cross and fucked it up. It's just, oh mate, honestly, like because we grew up on having proper wingers like Chris Waddle, like your Steve McManamans, these kind of people, and then now we got this guy. But like I say, football's changed. You know what I mean? It's a very different game now than it was in the 90s.
Yeah, but England always seem to sort of play the same nervous, uncertain style, lacking confidence. But they've always got enough skill in players like Lineker or Beckham or Rooney or Harry Kane to save the side.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like we're running out of those kind of players though, because when you think back to the sort of
that mentality as well of one guy holding the team up is a bit. He sort of seems to be subsidizing weaker players. It seems to me, always with England. The England team always has got shit players on, and you think, why the fuck is he? Why are they there? People like Emil Heskey back in the day. What the fuck was he doing there? Why were some of those people on the pitch?
Yeah, that was a weird one. But it's because it's so systematized, especially now. I know I work with someone whose partner coaches Enfield boys under 12s or something, or under 11s, maybe kind of multiple actually. And basically, she says that he tells her that he's told to play more system kind of robotic type styles of play. So if you get a player who's a sort of Ronaldinho, Messi type, sort of, expressive, flary player, it gets coached out of them because they have to fit into a system.
Oh, that's interesting.
They have to go here, there. And it's what we've seen happen to Premier League football anyway over the last 20 years. So it's kind of no surprise to hear that. But yeah, it's infected its way down into grassroots.
No doubt it's some kind of slightly left-wing flavored conspiracy, sort of some kind of, I mean, the team is more important than the individual, but somehow this systematized football. What exactly is that? Is that some kind of like egalitarian sort of Marxist approach to the game, or what?
I mean, it's just taking the kind of like individuality out of it, the individual creativity out of it for these kind of like robotic sort of like plays that are really just kind of like sideways, backwards. And then, instead of people running with the ball, taking on players, you see less and less of that now. I mean, where are Messi, for example, is kind of the last of those type of players, especially in the Premier League. You get a bit more of this in La Liga. So obviously watching Betis, I watched the La Liga as well. And you're still allowed that a bit more there. And I suppose that's why Spain do so well nationally, multiple recent winners of Euros and World Cup and stuff in recent times. So they are allowed a bit more flair. Even there, though, it's a bit more system-based. But over here, it kind of really started with Pep. I mean, Pep's had some great players over the years with Man City, don't get me wrong, but he kind of introduced this play out the back, sort of playing it through, sort of sideways passing to move forwards rather than players taking people on and showcasing skills. Like, you know, you'll give the ball to a Ronaldinho and you just take on 3 players. It just makes something happen. Those type of players are just sort of being coached out of the game now. It's sort of sad to see. But I'm hoping, because a lot more youngsters are picking up on this. Like, I've been pleasantly surprised. I talked to people at the gym, young lads who are like 24, 25, and they talk about how robotic it is. And because they can go on YouTube and they can obviously watch players from back in the day. So I'm hoping that it kind of come full circle in a few years and we get a few more of these creative players back into the game. Because otherwise it's just robot football. It's like what we watched tonight. It's like when you watch Arsenal, it's boring, and then they sneak a 1-0 or a 2-1, but it's never convincing.
Yes, I mean, you're speaking in quite technical terms, but for me, I like to see it solely because probably I don't know as much about football as you, but I sort of see England in psychological terms as well. I see it as a great sort of archetypal battle of the psyche, because I remember when we were on 30 years of hurt, and now that's doubled to 60 years of hurt. You know what I mean?
At what point are we dropping this?
Yeah. I mean, how much humiliation in that song are we going to say? 60 years we've been shit, basically. You know?
Imagine if we get to 2066.
Yeah.
Going to be like, are you seriously going to troll this out? They will, though. I mean, they'll be dead by then, probably. But I mean, like,
the song will be still playing. I mean, it'll still go, won't it?
They'll be like.
They don't seem to be able to produce any new good World Cup songs or any football songs, do they? Is there a current offering? Is there something?
No, not really. I mean, I was thinking the other day something similar to this. I was, when they have the hydration breaks and all that, and like they play, they're playing. I can't remember which match it was, but they were playing "Living on a Prayer." Hydration break. It just got me thinking. They're always playing tunes like that. That's so old now. We just don't have new classics as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's nothing culturally to replace what we're losing.
We now have things like
it'll be sort of grimy music and
like some Cardi B or something. You know what I mean? Like
drill rap. That'll be It'll be a time when it'll be like that'll be it. We'll get some like drill rapper doing the national anthem or something.
Oh mate, yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. But it's just kind of amusing to me because it's like, Jesus, how old are these songs? And like, it's a shame. But anyway, not to worry.
So I mean, that thank God. I mean, 65 minutes in, I was texting my friends, "We're going home. We're going home," because it just seemed like. But then I thought England always squeak one back, near the end, just for them. It's almost as if it's like always you feel like you've seen it's the same match just played again and again. It's the same, isn't it? You feel like there's only like 2 or 3 possible kinds of England game that you either a total walkover or this sort of nervy, edgy one where we're already given up, sort of mentally, kind of thing. You look at the crowd, the English lads in the audience who've gone there, and that same sort of forlorn, hopeless 60, 4 more years ahead or 2 more years ahead,
and I think
added on to the update the song.
I think for a lot of those England fans as well, when you notice the flags that are hung up, you usually see things like Derby County, Mansfield Town. You don't see the big, quote unquote, big teams, your Arsenals, Man Uniteds, etc.
Spurs. There was Spurs boys. There was
exactly. You don't see many big teams. But like basically, it's good for them though, because obviously, if you support Mansfield Town, for example, not wanting to dig them out, but you're never going to see them go to a Champions League final, win a Premier League. But you've got England.
You're right. Yeah.
You've got England who you can then follow. You can put a bit of passion into, and maybe they will win a major like a Euros or a World Cup. So it's kind of a good outlet for a lot of those fans, I think, like following England, because otherwise they're not seeing Mansfield Town win, an FA Cup or Premier League, whatever, or League Cup. So yeah, it's good for them. Like. You always see the lads in the crowd, but you are right about what you said. I was going to say before about the nervous football. It's been for 20 odd years at least since the 90s finished, since like the mid-noughties, that we've always played with this kind of like very nervy brand of football. And I just was linking it. I was going to link it back to what I said before about how the press get proper on them. And I think now that there's been this kind of like I said before about losing the creativity, it just all kind of mixes together. You've got a press who are on them all the time. They're not that great themselves. They're not a bunch of world-class players. And that combination just kind of leads to this, like you say, very nervy style of football where it's all a bit shaking. It's hard. We're not under control unless we're like 3-0 up, basically. And then you can relax. You can't relax with England unless you're like 3 clear goals ahead.
I think the Harry Kane he was very much the hero of the hour. There was a team huddle. I think it was during the second hydration break, and they asked Harry Kane on the TV, what did he say? And he said to the lads, he said, guys, just enjoy it. And he just told them just to enjoy it, just to try and enjoy the game. And that seemed to be the trick. That seems to be that mental trick that we all need in life. We need we all operate on a variety of sort of personal, sort of psychological like prompts and cues to get through life and to handle different situations. I suppose as a footballer, it's no different. I mean, you've probably got a lot of doubt and you've got to do your best, and you got your own sort of issues with hoping you can do your best, and the thing is, to be fair to England, they have played like they really have tried their best, right? I mean, for whatever reason, the tactics, the systematic, the approach, the psychology, but they have tried.
Oh yeah, people underestimate the psychological side of it as well. Like people say things like, "Oh, well, these players are paid 200 grand a week." Yeah, I mean that's fine and everything, and they are right to a degree that you expect a certain level of quality. But the psychology of the game, if you're not in a great place psychologically out on the pitch, there's really not much you can do. Too much you can do about that, unless you've got someone maybe who can get in your ear and sort of like G you up like Kane.
That seems to be what he did. Yeah, it seems to be good. Yeah,
because you can be like one of the most skillful players in the world, but if you're going out onto the pitch actually nervous, like sort of shaking or whatever, then you can't get your skills going. So, psychology is a massive part of it.
Have you heard of Mark Gay?
Yeah, Gay. We were supposed to get him Arsenal. We went to Man City. He's not. This is an old article though, because he's not the Crystal Palace captain. He's Man City now. So I don't know when this article.
This is bloody Grok telling me bullshit. This is fresh. I actually asked this today.
Oh well, Grok's fucked that up then. Grok because it's with me when I try to ask it for prompts for Midjourney. Midjourney is on version 8.2, and Grok tells me it's on version 6. 2.2 iterations ago. It was version 6 about a year and a half ago. Like, what is it doing?
So Mark Gay is the guy. Despite his name, he wrote "I love Jesus" in a sort of benign protest, or at least sort of what you might call a contrapoint. Saying his point that he'll wear this armband, but at the same time, he's going to show his allegiances and. Nicely show what he thinks, that he doesn't necessarily totally approve of that kind of thing, if you like. But I mean, I don't believe that these. I mean, what next? I mean, are they going to be made to wear trans bloody patches and stuff like that? I mean, the whole trans area is hard. Is still very well in America. The debate has been settled, at least until the Democrats get back. But this trans, of course, there was that Scottish High Court ruling. That gender is a real biological phenomenon. You can't just be a man if you're a woman and you decide you want to be a man now. So so that's I like that guy. He's a Christian as well. So he's pretty cool guy.
It's like it's inclusivity, but not for Christianity, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I've got just on that point we talk about the trans thing. If I just share this as quite a funny story, if you just bear with me one sec, let me just move it actually. Move this window over here. This is basically going to be a story about there's an Australian woman who's on trial for kind of vilifying a trans male by saying that men can't, for having the shocking opinion that men can't breastfeed babies. I mean, I know it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
You share that. Yeah,
I'm just trying to. Here we go. So yeah, so Adrian Jennifer Buckley took offence over this Jasmine Sussex comments because he had attempted to nurse a baby himself. So this trans man is now taking a woman to court because she said to him that she doesn't believe that he can breastfeed.
Isn't that a trans woman? I mean, technically, trans means not, but isn't it if a man wants to be a woman, it's a trans woman? Is that how it works?
I can't lie.
I think it is. I'm not saying I'm an expert, because I'd made that video for it about transgender stuff. I learned that much, that it's actually, that would be a trans.
So she basically posted on. So originally, if you look at the story here, so it started when this trans man, woman, they, them, whatever, who's a paramedic, posted on Facebook about inducing lactation in order to breastfeed her or his infant. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's originally a her, isn't it? Oh man, it's so confusing. And
oh yeah, so hang on, an Australian woman. Oh, yeah, so they vilified a trans-identified. Oh no, I'm confused now. So that must be a woman who wants to be a man, a trans-identified male. Must be a.
So at the time, so whilst this woman who wants to be a man's wife, so essentially that's the lesbian part, lesbian wife, I guess, was pregnant. He, as in she, publicly shared that he was taking hormones to grow breasts. And this person, this Jasmine Sussex, made a series of public social media posts, by the way, social media posts, criticizing men's attempts to breastfeed or chest feed, I didn't even know it was called that, to induce lactation via the use of drugs and hormones.
You know, there's sometimes some things I actually don't even want to know. And, you know, this whole trans thing, even though I did have to research it for it and do some stuff for the video, it's like that's very much on the cusp of what I actually don't want to. It's like if there's a car accident, you know, and there's like a suspiciously red sort of patch of something on the tarmac, and everyone's looking pretty hopeless. I'm just going to drive on. I'm not going to. I feel like looking at the trans phenomenon. I feel like I'm someone who's slowing down the car and stopping at in the hard shoulder to have a good fucking look at it. All this nonsense, but it's madness, mate. It's just
this woman who spoke out about it was basically dismissed from her role. She actually worked for the Australian Breastfeeding Association, so she wasn't just some random commentator.
Yeah.
For nearly 20 years, she'd worked for them, and then she was dismissed as after pushing back against this gender neutral language. And blah blah. So if I just I'll skip over this, but like I just want to know like what are they trying to sue?
So she was a woman and became a man. Is that, and then had no tits, and then tried to nurse it? This is what happened, or?
Well, it says here, I am a transgender woman who, under medical supervision, was able to induce lactation.
Well, that means they were a man before. See, this is all getting very confusing.
Yeah, it must mean that.
Yeah. See, this trans-identified male, that seems wrong. That seems that she's a trans-identified woman, right? Because she's not a woman. She's a man who wants to try to play pretend with surgery and hormones.
Yeah, because that's a picture of the man or woman. That to me, oh Christ, that's a man that's transitioning to a woman, is it not? That looks like a male, sort of more male.
Big old chin on it, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and like the shoulders as well.
That's what's called a transgender woman. Yeah.
Oi, man! So I'm just going to scroll down.
It's a bloke, love. It's a fucking bloke. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this person has been sentenced. I'm just curious what, like, this person is this person trying to get a fine out of, like, you know, try to get money out of them. Let me just scroll down. It's quite a long article. Let me just down to the bottom. Yeah, so I mean, like, it doesn't look like it's sort of been concluded yet. But what an absolutely insane world that we live in. This is basically Brass Eye. If anybody out there who's listening knows that classic British comedy, it's all come to life. There's so much Brass Eye type stuff that's actually real now. This
is Satanism. This is Eliphas Levi and the famous statue of Baphomet. The statue of Baphomet that he sort of generated as a representation of his sort of pagan occult beliefs. Oh, they're not pagan beliefs. They're actually sort of satanic. You know, the sort of hermaphrodite Baphomet. It's a goat man woman with tits thing, and so this is what it is. It's this kind of, and also it goes back to the ancient world, of course. The priesthood of Cybele, who were actually they were female transgenders. They were men who ritually castrated themselves on the steps of the temple of Cybele to become eunuch priests of Cybele. So they're effectively eunuchs, but they dressed as women and they had sex with men. And this isn't new. This is ancient stuff going back to the Middle East, near Middle East, thousands of years.
Fuck, I didn't even know.
So there's nothing new under the sun. Yeah, it's just the same old, crap that they were dealing with in the Bible. Really, it's the same kind of cast of characters, you sort of thing, with a sort of high tech edge.
I guess at the end of the day,
cut them off with whatever they had to hand. It was sharp, but it's the same sort of cool mentality.
It's amazing how sort of traits and things like this can last for thousands of years, just transmogrifying, changing in different manifestations. But like you're saying, there's still a connection to what was back then. But
it could just be that it is Satan. It is like literally a demonic hierarchy of beings exist out there, and these are the best ways they can think of fucking with humanity. And to be honest, they're doing a pretty good job of fucking with us pretty well, to be honest.
I mean, to be honest with you as well, I was never really, I think I mentioned this on a previous show a few weeks ago, but I was never really that sold on sort of demonic possession, demons, this kind of thing. But the more I've looked into it, kind of as you've mentioned it on this show and sort of enlightened on a few points, and I've then gone away and looked more into it, had more of a think about it. I kind of start to see it more. Like an example of this I was thinking about recently was someone like Anthony Fauci. I'm sure that guy's possessed. But then I just think there's no karma, because this guy, this one human being's career and decisions and duplicity and madness has fucked so many people over in the world, right back to when it was the AIDS thing, because he did the same playbook for the bug times as he did back in the 80s for the AIDS situation. So you just think to yourself, where's the karma for this dude?
What did he do with the AIDS thing? What was that? Did he introduce some of those really toxic medicines that basically killed Freddie Mercury and that kind of thing? Those guys in the early days, they sort of died of the medication, didn't they?
Basically, yeah. There was medication that they knew. It wasn't like a mystery or anything. They tested and they knew it had a high mortality rate, yet they still used it anyway. So, and the guy who does the test, the guy who invented the PCR test, I can't think of his name now. It's gone. He was on the Joe Rogan show earlier. The guy who invented the PCR test said that Fauci has no idea what he's talking about. So this guy you look in his eyes as well. You look at his face and his eyes. He's got that look about him, don't you think? He's got that kind of like psychopathic, possessed. You could like a visage like Fauci. You could imagine in a movie as the evil character. In fact, he is the villain in the Liars Club, isn't it? That's about the AIDS thing, isn't it? That 80s movie. What was it called? He is actually the villain, and here he is decades later dealing with the bug thing. Liars Club, yeah, back in I think it's mid 90s. Shit, I'm not sure it's that movie. Sorry, but anyway, there is a movie about the AIDS epidemic which has Fauci as the fucking villain in it. It's craziness, man.
So yeah, I mean, I think they're after him now. I think Fauci's running out of rat room to wriggle in, because one of Tulsi Gabbard's final act before she left as Director of National Intelligence, she released batches of declassified documents, official DNI statements claiming that Fauci, as NIAID head, had provided millions in US taxpayer dollars to fund gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So she obviously released the documents linking Fauci to funding what had been banned research, gain of function, because effectively, I think I mentioned it before, but the these coronaviruses and flu viruses of various kinds, they're either one or two things. They're either extremely dangerous, deadly, or they're highly transmissible, but they're never both. They can't be transmitted to human beings. So these naturally, so nature seems to keep control of these things. They're sort of deadly among birds and such, but they don't migrate to human hosts. And those that do migrate to human hosts are not considered dangerous at all. So these crazy bastards decided that they would create gain of function. They would do gain of function research to actually make the highly transmissible types more dangerous.
Yeah.
By mixing DNA. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And that was precisely where the leak was said to have happened in Wuhan. So,
but back in those times, if you said that, you were a racist. It was framed as, oh no, you're a racist.
Was it even framed as racism? Was it? Why?
Yeah, well, it was because it was like, you were sort of like
against the Chinese.
Yeah. So I forgot.
But it was like these Americans pumping the money in. The Chinese were only doing that research because the Americans wasn't allowed to be done in America or Canada. So the Chinese were, doing it without
this idea funding. It was like so super patronizing. But the thing is, I say that, but so many people fell for it. But this idea that this coronavirus didn't come from this coronavirus, which originated in Wuhan, didn't come from the coronavirus making lab. It just coincidentally came from the wet markets. And if you say anything else other than that, you're a racist. And it's just kind of, but we can be like, say mean things about China any other time. But when it comes to this, no, you can't say anything bad about them on this occasion. Otherwise you're a racist. Okay. But so many people fell for it. I remember because where I worked, I was still able to go in. And I remember being at the overground train station and some woman crashing out because someone hadn't got a mask on. I mean, she was like borderline. She was about 60, maybe late 60s, early 70s. And like, she was like borderline, like having a heart attack almost. Like she was going to wind herself up so much because someone wasn't wearing a mask. People were so far gone. It was craziness.
Yeah, sort of that. I think there's that human need, isn't there, to express sort of groupthink. Sort of certain, well, not in me and not in you, but a lot of people feel the comfort of the group, the comfort of consensus that everybody's doing the same thing. So it's like when somebody isn't doing what they think they should be doing, they sort of act with this almost tribal rage.
Yeah,
seeing like an enemy tribe. It's like they regress like tens of thousand years in evolution.
Oh,
they become sort of tribal, as if they're fighting for the life of, their vaccinated tribe with their stupid, face nappies on. But of course, anyone who has a different opinion to them, it makes them question themselves. And I think perhaps that's the one thing that a lot of these very weak-minded people who rely on, the government and the news for their reality, they can't for a second, because if they're being questioned, then the whole establishment and the whole world they thought they knew is being questioned. So it's like an existential panic, So rather than face that, the possibility that we're being lied to, they're trying to kill us, and we should think for ourselves rather than face that possibility, which is terrifying for a lot of people. They sort of defend it with all their last breath, their last sort of breath of sanity,
I mean, like working in a hospital at the time, I saw the way that the media was lying and twisting it, and the government as well, firsthand. Because sure, at the beginning, and when I say the beginning, I mean maybe the first 2 months max of it. Let's say it started early Marchish, didn't it? For us, I know it started before that technically, but it really kind of hit England, UK about early to mid-March. So I would say from there till maybe not even 2 months, maybe to the end of April, there was a big wave where I worked, and I was working with over 65s as well. So that's obviously the most vulnerable, but one of the most vulnerable anyway. Immunocompromised, but probably the most vulnerable. But like very old age people, very very susceptible. So there was like an initial wave that it did hit a lot of people, but that wave dissipated a month and a half, let's say 2 months later. But you look at the media, you look at what's coming out of the government, and it was still like it was, like you mentioned before about, something that has a high, what did you say? Sorry,
Transmissibility.
Transmittability and kills a lot of people. It was still being presented as that, even
Yeah.
way past where, not only I, but other friends I have who work in other hospitals around the kind of London area and just outside London were all saying the same thing. I have friends who were paramedics who they weren't doing anything during the day because there was no issues. But it was being completely. So my parents would ring me. Obviously, they're just glued to the news all the time. My mum would ring me, and then she'd be shocked that I'd be saying to her, because she'd be like, "Oh my God, Robert, what's going on? Are you okay?" She's seeing all this on the BBC, Sky News, queues out of the hospital and all this footage. And I'd be like, "Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it died down ages ago. We've got really no problems. We have some cases here and there, some staff rock with it, but it's not an issue. We're getting on all right." And they couldn't believe it, because they've just been so psyoped by the media trying to like pump fear into them. It's like the climate change people as well. Do you know what I mean? It's all predicated on that group thing, like you say, and having some people wanting something to fear, like wanting a doomsday event to loom to somehow give their lives some kind of edge. I don't know. It's weird.
Anyway, yeah. So, what have you been up to? What's going on in the drinking world?
I was going to ask you.
As you know, I quit, and I'm feeling a lot better actually. Suddenly,
so how long is it now then?
I think it's been about it's been 5 weeks. It's been about 4.5 to 5 weeks.
Nice, that's good. I mean,
so this week I sort of suddenly started to feel a lot better, but prior to that, I'd just been really like low energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think from 5 weeks is, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of one of the longest times I can remember you saying since we've known each other, really. Would you say that's one of the longest?
I used to do like Ramadan when I lived in the Gulf. I'd because it was so hard to get booze, I would not drink for a month, and it tended to suit me quite well, I got a bit of a respite. But yeah, so that's pretty good. How about you? How are you doing?
I did from
had a few benders lately or not?
Nah, I mean, after my birthday stuff and all that, didn't drink until this weekend just gone. And again, it didn't really turn into anything too crazy, which I was happy about, because these things can. And yeah, I was back at work on Monday, back in the gym, and it wasn't 100%, but I was nowhere near what I can do if I'm a bit silly and lackadaisical about it. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. Just, it's good to do that because it kind of demonstrates to you that you can. Because if you're in the habit of like X amount, if you're in the habit of sort of a few drinks turning into a bender, it's hard to get out of a habit like that because it's just so tempting, especially with something like boozing. But yeah, this weekend just showed that I can actually sort of like keep a bit of a lid on it. I don't have to go super crazy all the time. And yeah, I can actually get into work on Monday. So no, it's decent. It's decent. I think what I'll do is I'll probably do like 1 or 2 times in a month, in a work month, and then have 2 weekends where I'm staying in, doing my side hustle, work, music, movie stuff, etc. I think that'd be a nice balance. Plus, it's so fucking expensive. I went into, I come back from, where was I originally? I went to Islington at first, and I was on my way back, came into my local down here, which used to be a Wetherspoons. They kept exactly the same Wetherspoons decor and just pumped up the prices and changed the name of it.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I think, yeah.
And yeah, I went in and I just thought, you know what? I just wanted to send a few texts that I hadn't been able to send. So I thought, let me just get a half pint. I'll sit outside and send these texts, blah, blah, blah. I went for a half pint of Heineken, stupidly thinking that might be like £3 or something. And he's charging me £4.75 for a half.
That's a new record. That's Heineken. Crazy. That's over £9 a pint, right?
I was like, what the fuck?
Where's that? What, in Finsbury Park around there?
No, this is in Turnpike Lane.
Right, yeah. God, it's supposed to be. Oh, mate. I remember when I was in the Gulf and thinking of coming back to England and then obviously moving to London back, I was thinking, where shall I live? And I thought, I looked for the cheapest borough with the cheapest pint of beer, and it was Haringey. I thought, because I lived in Haringey in Crouch End before, and I quite liked it around there. Yeah, Haringey. I'm going to go there. Like, I think it was all on the price of a pint of Guinness. It was like about £5 in those days, you know. And £5 for a pint of Guinness isn't bad, but I can't believe how expensive that is. That's a borderline shakedown. That is.
I remember us having.
Are you checking your checking your change there. I mean, hey, mate, if you give me enough change, that's ridiculous. I can't believe it.
I remember a conversation we had, which must have been quite a while ago now, thinking about it, maybe around 2010, 2011, where you were saying basically, I don't know why this sticks in my head, but you were saying basically, if you're prepared to pay £5 for a pint, you can drink anywhere in London. And how times have changed.
I know. I thought £5 was a friggin' liberty as well when I was first.
Yeah, exactly.
£5 a pint. I was like, whoa, what?
When did you live in Crouch End then?
Oh, mate, way back in like the late 90s. Yeah.
I was there in 2000. I was there for a year in 2004, I think. I lived on Southview Road, which is just in front of Alexandra Park and the Palace, obviously. So I was kind of more just out of Crouch End, I suppose. It was Hornsey technically, but yeah, it was we'd walk for about 20 minutes and you'd be up Middle Lane through that park and up into the main part of Crouch End, sort of thing. Spooky place, quite an interesting spooky place.
It's not, is it? I don't. Is it spooky?
Well, it could be to do with the fact that we did a lot of magic mushrooms at the time. That could have played a part. I thought it was a little bit spooky, but yeah, good place though. It was nowadays it's so dead. Honestly, like you go up there on back then in 2004-05, you go out on a Saturday night, all pubs are packed. I know this is a familiar story, but you know, it's just sort of depressing to go back there now and like all these pubs that used to be brimming, you just go in and there's like 5 or 6 people there, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? It's sad, man. It's sad what's happened to sort of drinking. This I think ties in with, I was thinking about this the other day, like, you know, we talk about the rise in suicidality and depression and hardship amongst men. We're kind of getting forgotten about, but if you think about like the way that prices have increased, the way it's harder now for the average man to go out regularly, just go down the pub or even buy a packet of cigarettes regularly have like booze and cigarettes.
Yeah, just do stuff to unwind. I mean, you just if you've had a really tough day and you just sort of fucking had enough, you kind of just reset, go to the pub, get a few ciggies and just smoke and drink yourself into a sort of semi-comfortable sort of amnesia about everything. But that's always been a basic human right of the Englishman, hasn't it, really, to do that at a relatively cheap cost.
Well, you'd have your mates down the pub and like, you know, you'd have the other locals you'd fraternize with. But now people don't do that because they can't afford it too much. And then like, but what that's resulted in is those people still go get their booze, but instead they go down the shop and they get a few cans and maybe they just sit indoors on their own. And everything's becoming a lot more sort of atomized and people are drinking maybe more and it's worse because it's now they can just pop to the shop and get cans. Whereas before they were actually having a social life.
And drinking on your own is a very different experience from drinking with other people. I mean, obviously, 100%. But the whole psychological journey is 100% different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like drinking with your mates is like a life affirming, great buzz, great time, and sometimes you have memories that will last you a lifetime. Just from a night in the pub, you'll just have something that will buoy your spirits as you go through life. You're thinking of the good times, thinking of your mate, you know, the laughs that you had. But sitting drinking on your own is probably the complete opposite of that, isn't it? You're not likely to have any sort of, you know, sort of amazingly exciting drunk times on your own because it's just used to there. I mean, sure, you can get drunk, but you're not going to have anything life-affirming experiences. So
part of this also links in with what you've got on the screen, I think, because the culture has changed in this country over the past 20 years, and there's not as many people who would be going to do the pub thing or do a social event of that kind or social activities of that kind. Even things like going down playing snooker loads or playing pool loads, people don't do stuff like that anymore. I mean, for me, I suppose my version of it is going to the gym. It's not quite the same as that, but it's still.
Well, I would say that that's part of the replacement agenda. This
is what I'm saying.
You know, by denying us our, you know, ancestral, I would say our ancient right to good company and reasonable beers, and that's something that's gone back to 1,000 years or so or more. I mean, this is like the oldest pub, from the 15th, 16th century, still exists, and you know, it used to be a way of life. So the labouring man coming home, you know, after a day's labour, and hitting the pub with his mates and all that. I mean, this is something now. The thing is, like, people who come into this country, the immigrants and migrants and such, they already have their own sort of social sort of systems of, getting to know, meet people. I mean, a lot of these people, they have clubs, they have pool clubs and snooker clubs of their own. They seems to be like in Wapping, for instance, in the old the firehouse that's been turned into a club. It seems exclusively for Pakistani males. Every time you go past there, it's just a load of Pakistani men just playing snooker or pool or whatever. But it's like they've got their place, and in many cases, the government's actually subsidising, recreational facilities for immigrants. Whereas for us, when we paid for ours, I mean, that's ours have been deliberately, I would say, deliberately sort of denied us, withdrawn from us, and then atomizing us, forcing us all to be, because there's nothing more dangerous in a sense to the government than a pub full of people talking about how shit the country is and how fucked the government is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it always was like that, I mean, not everyone was into politics. I mean, most people weren't, but there was always enough of a talk, enough of a sort of slightly seditious edge to it that, allowed you to sort of feel you were free and you're expressing your dissatisfaction with the government. And now you see they're so afraid they can't even allow us to talk. Can't even allow us to communicate without threats or without sort of hate speech labels and threats of imprisonment. But that's oppression. But that's how fearful they are too. So it's a kind of mirror. It's a kind of by doing these things, they're showing their insecurity.
I think this is part of the reason why they banned mushrooms. I mean, I know they were kind of like they were saying officially, like, because people were doing silly things like jumping out windows and harming themselves. But really, I got the sense that it was because when people do mushrooms, they get together and they talk about things that the government would have rather them talk about, and they figure things out, or they are at least open-minded to having conversations about things that the government would rather you not be having conversations about.
Well, not only that, but they also have a transcendental experience. So they'll, they sort of see, the old good old thing about the rave scene and all that, the 90s, and particularly in the 90s, is from what I remember, is, you transcended the government. You were no longer, it was beyond not having respect for the government. In the experience you were having at the club or the rave or the festival or whatever, that was way beyond the government. You'd reached something more authentic than them. And I think they can't even face that. They can't even have you transcend. They don't even want you to transcend them. They want to keep you low and down and fearful and under their control. Yeah. So this movie I watched, I talked about it last week. I keep Citizen Vigilante, but I keep wanting to call it Vigilant Citizen because I remember the Vigilant Christian or the Vigilant Citizen was a YouTuber back in the day, back in the conspiracy time. So yeah, you heard of this movie? I talked about it a bit last week.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fully aware of what's been going on with it. I mean, like, so Elon Musk's been sharing it. People have been trying to frame it as being an anti-Muslim movie. I mean, look, you've seen it, so you can talk more on it than I can. But as I understand, it's not just about sort of Muslim crimes. It's about lots of the vigilante goes around dealing with lots of different types of people, and So I mean, maybe you can speak a bit more about it.
It's a weird film. It's a funny sort of film. There's a lot to unpack around. To be honest, initially I couldn't quite be bothered to watch it because I thought, I get the idea. I mean, you see it in the news every day. And I thought, is this going to be like gratuitous? I mean, I was never a fan of Death Wish particularly. It's being sort of compared to those revenge films of the 70s and 80s. But it's a weird film. There's a few things to talk about with it. I'll just play this little yellow flash thing. See what he says about it.
Oh, this Citizen Vigilante stuff is pretty interesting. So this film is not even getting reviews from the mainstream. They're not even reviewing it. 3 reviews from critics over on Rotten Tomato. Now, there's plenty of ratings from the audience. In fact,
can you actually see that there's 96%?
I was going to say to you,
over 500 ratings, and yet there's 3 reviews from the sort of establishment media.
It's so blatant, isn't it? It's just
they just don't even want to talk about it. They're just going to try and pretend it's not there. You know, they're doing the first stage of the Gandhi victory recipe. They're first ignoring, and then next they'll attack, and then we'll win, because once the ignoring thing went on for a long time with people like Alex Jones. For years and years, he was just ignored, not even like as if the internet didn't exist, you know. And then they started sort of to, you know, attack him and discredit him, and then they openly fought him. Whether he's won or not, we do have the Donald Trump government, we do have a government that's doing a lot of things that people like Alex Jones would want. So whether it is the victory Alex Jones wanted, but this is the case here. So yeah, three mainstream media reviews.
You know this. It's got one of the highest audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes for 2026, which is, of course, sending a lot of these people into a meltdown. Because, I mean, this kind of film wouldn't get made in the mainstream. It would not get made in Hollywood. Now, you can make Once Upon a Time on the Battlefield or whatever, one battle after another, whatever that dumb movie is, which basically is a call to arms against the government and authority. It's a very Antifa, a pro-Antifa movie. It 100% is, which is why it won like every award possible at the Oscars. Now, they are happy about that movie. They call that one of the greatest films ever made. This movie, though, they hate it. Why do they hate it? Because it's all about violent migrants and out-of-control crime over in Europe, and this dude takes matters into his own hands. It's basically Death Wish, kind of.
So, yeah, I mean, the film is an interesting experience. I kind of largely enjoyed it, but the first thing there was a few things that I do have a slight reservation about it. I'll just go into that. I'm just going to try and if I can share this. Yeah, so when the film starts, the distribution company is Quiver Distribution, and I thought, I wonder who they are. So I thought I'll look them up. And I'm just this is the order in which I was exposed. Quiver Distribution. So I asked for information about the producers, Quiver Distribution, and who owns them. So it's two separate independent film. Quiver Distribution is an American-Canadian independent film production and distribution company, founded in May 2019. Co-founders and co-presidents Barry Meyerowitz and Jeff Sackman. So they're not exactly Anglo-Saxon names. I wonder where those guys are from.
Merovitz.
So I said quite innocently to Grok, I said, are they both Jewish, right?
By any chance,
you know? And Grok said no. He said no, not in the same. Now this is what we were saying in the chat before we went live. Grok is getting a bit fucking debunking these days. He's been reprogrammed. He's not really our guy anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
He says no, not in the same way. And companies themselves don't have ethnic or religious identities. Well, he's been a bit sort of facetious there and like playing with semantics. I mean, I asked who owns this production company. He told me the two people. Are they Jewish? Well, no, not in the same way. Companies don't have ethnic, and it turns out yes, they are Jewish. He says, no, we've got no here. And then when it comes to an actual factual, what Grok has actually admitted is a factual breakdown, the answer is yes, they are Jewish. Yes, they are Jewish. They're very much Jewish. But I mean, of course, this is the film industry, but all the same, you know, I just think like everything in what I talk about, it's always got to be skepticism and some sort of who benefits, what's going on here.
I mean,
what they appear to be, you know?
Just looking at it here, I mean, you know, Meyerowitz is the co-chair of this UGA, and you know that is and he's co-chair of the Greater Miami Jewish Federation.
It's a major Jewish organization, basically. He's very
dedicated.
much.
Yeah, it just says here, sort of like, I'm not if it says it there, but it says dedicated to addressing Jewish community needs, providing aid to Israel, fostering vital partnerships with Israel. So yeah, surprise.
And Jeff Sackman, strong indication of a Jewish background. In interviews tied to Jewish media, including Atlanta Jewish Times, he has referenced family Holocaust survivors, etc. So yeah, he's clearly Jewish. So yeah, the two co-founders are Jewish. So it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like it's the Tommy Robinson thing, isn't it? It's like he's sort of pointing out something that needs doing. He's doing a good job, but at the same time, why is he doing it? Is he doing it in order, with as to be controlled opposition to work basically for a sort of part of a Jew, to do what the Jews want him to do, to sort of perhaps not inflame. I'm not going to say that inflame tensions or as such, because the tensions are already here. But it's always that suspicion, isn't it? Are we being used?
Yeah, what we said before.
Are we a pincer in someone else? Are we just a pawn in someone else's game? And I mean, I think that's obviously the case.
It's like we said before about the Freemasonic stuff in general, in terms of how it creates the circumstances for chaos. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, like this movie is definitely potentially doing.
You're right. It could be something like that. I mean, yeah, the whole movie is all about people doing what he's doing. He's trying to encourage. He sort of speaks to the camera a lot. There's a lot of addressing the camera, and he's sort of saying, I'm only doing this until you learn to do it for yourselves. The vigilante thing. This whole film is sort of implore. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not. I mean, listen, I'm not. Where that takes us, where everyone becomes vigilantes, and what that might lead to, who knows? But it's just something to think about, isn't it? So yeah, it's a funny film. It starts with like all behavior can be traced back to instincts on the screen, and then when justice is denied, instincts turn to vengeance. And it starts. There's over the screen it says Europe in big letters, and I don't know if you know, but it starts with in a supermarket with a mother and her son, and it's a very nice sort of scene. It's the sort of little, sort of low key moment between a mother and her son as they're buying something in the shop, and then as they leave the shop, she's brutally and randomly stabbed in the neck by a black migrant, and the boy is quite bloody. There's blood spurting out her neck, and her son is there screaming for his mom and etc. It's quite nasty, really. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's like the major event of the film, really. It all pins in terms of the manifestations of migrant violence in the film. You don't see a lot. That's the only thing, which is funny because it's very much sort of it's almost not forgotten, but the film goes in sort of different directions in a sense, and it's really weird. It reminds me, it's like it's Europe, but like the police uniforms have police written on them. And there's only two countries in Europe, I think, Hungary and the Czech Republic, where the police actually have police written in English. But it can't be Hungary or Czech, because those countries don't actually have a problem with migrant violence as much as the West. So they're taking a situation that's taking place in Western Europe and transposing it to East Europe. So what it does, it gives the film a kind of unreal sort of, not exactly fake and phony, but it kind of makes it look like it's somewhat in another dimension or something. There's something about the film that's like a bit, like a fantasy version of a European country.
Right. Okay.
And everyone speaks English with like strange sort of Baltic accents in the movie. They all, of course, the star, of course, is the vigilante himself is American, who returns back to this unnamed European country because he turns out he's actually a property owner taken over from his father's business, and he owns all sorts of properties. He owns nightclubs and apartments, and even like a brothel. So the character himself is like a really sort of shady, immoral kind of guy who, for some reason, has had this sort of decided he's had enough and he's going to become this vigilante. And there's this sort of newsreader. There's this newsreader, female newsreader, who's reading throughout, and it's kind of it's world news. It's like a really strange sort of. It reminds me almost of Red Dwarf, where they have those sort of future
when they're in the pod
news broadcasts, and it's sort of so unreal. But it's the same here. It's kind of it's like it's a news organization, but it's like completely supporting this well, his name Michael Sanders is named the vigilante. But yeah, it's a funny sort of film. I mean, it's like you don't know where it is, and it's got this sort of cartoonish element to it. It's like a really weird film, and there's actually to talk about the Jewish element. Actually, there's a scene where Michael Sanders, he's actually sort of, there's actually quite a long sex scene, which is a bit sort of, gratuitous. I mean, you don't see anything, but it's like, it's just, why is this sex?
Why is it done? Yeah.
And I think there might be a reason. I think it's like to show that he's like not an incel or something. But the thing is, he actually pays for sex. So it's a really odd sort of. So the character that
what the sex scene
putting
is
up there is like really morally ambiguous.
So the sex scene is of him with a prostitute, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
in the brothel that he actually owns. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if he's paying for sex, that's still, doesn't really make him less of an incel per se, because he's having to pay for it. So yeah, it is a bit weird. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of dumb, but you kind of enjoy it. I mean, but there's so much nonsense in it. Like, for instance, he's been sort of tracked by this Interpol chief called Henry, and they track his location. He's got this big sort of like villa that's more like a sort of castle, and they have to sort of go up these steps. So there's about 12 sort of armored police with like weapons are sent to this location, and they break into the house. And what it is he's holed up inside a sort of metal bunker with a gun placement in front of it. And what they do is they just sort of steam into this room. I mean, I could actually probably show you a clip of it, actually, because the full movie is available. But it's just the most cartoonish, weirdest, stupidest sort of action scene I've ever seen. It's like they're just sending in these people one after the other to be sort of mown down by Michael Sanders, the Citizen Vigilante, who's in a metal bunker, and he's just killing them. I mean, let me just find that scene. It's really bizarre. And there's a lot of scenes like that are sort of just unbelievable. It's like they couldn't think of a convincing action scene. So there's the scenes where he's not in any danger at any point in the film. There's not a lot of tension in that respect, So many people have said, "Oh, it's not a good film." It's kind of entertaining, but it's not really. You just wonder what's going to happen next. But in terms of like genuine tension and suspense, it's not really there, and as you might think in a normal sort of film. I'm just going to try and find this scene for you, actually.
Yeah, because I was wondering whether to watch it myself. I know I'm not too sure from what you've seen, but it's only 90 minutes, isn't it? So it's not like it's a long film.
Give it a watch, because it's kind of fun and entertaining. But like I say, it's like it's peculiar. It maybe it's rushed out really quickly or something like that. But yeah, let's see if this shares. Is this working? Can you see that?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go! So they've blown into his house, and it's just yeah, he's in a bunker in this building. Just in that little metal fridge, basically, right? So, I mean, they're all just stood there in front of the gun placement,
I understand that you're here to do your job. I have no interest in killing all of you, but if you try to stop me from doing my job, I will be forced to kill you all. This is your last warning to leave.
Fire!
Do you hear the music, that bossa nova music?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's kind of like it tells me that the film doesn't quite take itself that seriously, perhaps, in a way, right? What do you think? I think there is something kind of, even though it's dealing with a really serious and unpleasant issue, and it kind of seems to have its heart in the right place. There is sort of a cartoonish, ridiculous element to it.
It's like a sort of bad fate of the Leon scene. Have you ever seen the movie Leon?
Yeah.
Do you remember that right at the end of it, he manages to get out? Well, I don't want to spoil it for people, but do you remember towards the end of the film, how he has to sort of escape, and there's loads and loads of people going into the apartment trying to
Yeah.
get him. It reminds me a bit of that, but just a really sort of like scaled down version of it.
So he's just like, they're just killing them all. I mean, I don't really get it. I don't. I mean, it's quite bloody as well. I suppose he's trying to be funny. I suppose. Oh, that's pretty nasty, right? But yeah, you get the idea. You got scenes like this, and you think, am I taking this seriously? Is this a serious, movie about the
that's like
migrant crisis and the violence crisis against women, or are we just having a bit of fun?
And that was 43 minutes into the movie as well.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to play any more to ruin it, but it's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, it's a really it's a kind of quite low-fi sort of effort, but it's pretty weird. But there's some things about it. I mean, he does this speech, and he says, the Citizen Vigilante, he says, every soldier who's ever gone to war has been played. Clinton, Biden, Trump never seem to go on the front lines. They would never risk their lives. Yeah, they've tricked you into dying for your country, but your country doesn't do anything for you. You walk down the street and get stabbed or robbed, and what does your country do? Nothing. What do you do? Nothing. And he says there's sort of like a sort of half-baked sort of metaphysical idea behind it, because he says the universe demands balance. Yin must match yang. So despite a lot of the imagery kind of reminding me about, do you remember Breivik? Do you remember that Norwegian shooter? It kind of made me think of that a little bit.
Oh shit, I remember. That rings a bell. That's from like 20 odd years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah, he says, if you do nothing, I have to do something, and that's his whole thing. He say the people aren't doing anything, but so I don't know. It's a weird film. I mean, why pick on Clinton, Biden, and Trump? I mean, why not be more, get the meat really off the bone and talk about the European leaders, talk about Macron, and talk about von der Leyen, and why talk about American leaders who are really not necessarily. Trump is doing. I think he's doing what he can to deal with the problem, but he keeps getting rebuffed, doesn't he, by his own Supreme Court he picked. He's trying to get through the birthright citizenship. The other one, the voter ID, he's not getting anywhere with that. So
I saw you put that in the intro. I did see a little bit about it. I didn't really read too much into it, to be honest with you. I didn't read the story properly. I mean,
this film, it feels like you're watching an episode of the A-Team, but a super gory one. But it's fun. Thing. It's not a bad thing. It's kind of, it is goofy. I mean, if you get past the nasty scene where the woman is knifed in the neck, which is not very nice, then the rest of the film, it kind of feels like you're watching a jolly sort of almost teenage style sort of goofy action, tongue-in-cheek sort of action movie.
I think even don't directors like Tarantino sometimes do this though? I'm not saying I'm trying to compare like Uwe Boll, whatever his name was, to Tarantino, but doesn't Tarantino sometimes have some violent scenes where the music is a bit more cartoonish, it's a bit more light than you might expect? I'm sure it's him that does that sometimes. But it's not that unusual, but given the subject matter, I suppose it seems a bit out of place, because it seems to be something that's taking itself quite seriously overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think the craziest scene, because a lot of it, there aren't a lot of migrants in it. You see the one black guy. There's a scene with 3 people on the bus who refuse. This is a sort of repeat of something I mentioned, where you often get, there's been instances in Italy where like 3 migrants have refused to pay for the bus ticket, and someone has paid for their tickets to stop the aggro. And I think we've mentioned this before. That isn't the solution, is it? You should just be handing out more money to solve their problems. It's like everything, they just need money and they'll be fine. But in this movie, he does the same thing. There are 3 disruptive. There's 2 white people and 1 black guy, and they're sort of swearing at the bus driver and refuse, and the bus driver won't leave until they pay for a ticket, and they refuse. So he pays for their ticket, and then tries to lecture them and tell them that if they don't buy tickets, then all the costs of living, everything will go up 10%. Everything will cost more because it'll have to cover the losses from them not buying tickets. So he tries to sort of win them around, but they just they don't care.
Yeah.
And he later meets them and these are basically teenagers as well. He basically meets them. They're sort of bullying they're bullying someone with learning difficulties, like a sort of autistic kid. And they're sort of, they take his phone and they're bullying him. And he turns up and he just tases them initially. So there's a girl, but she's disappeared. So it's just the black guy and the white kid. And he just stomps on their wrists and breaks their wrists. And it's like, that's quite violent. But then there's a scene later on which is absolutely bonkers. So in the story, apart from ironically, the woman who's stabbed in the neck, there's no more about her in the movie. It's not about her, but it's actually about a 14-year-old girl who was gang violated by a group of migrants. And he tracks them down and he goes to their house, and the kid says as an excuse that he's getting mental help. He's getting mental health therapy to help him to blend in and acclimatize to life in Europe, so he doesn't violate women anymore. But he gets him to he shoots him in the leg, and he gets him to bring his mates over. And as his mates come, he kills them as they arrive. And then finally, I mean, there's the whole family there's his mother and his sister.
I've seen this bit. I've seen this scene.
Yeah. I don't want to give spoilers, but it's it's quite brutal. You've seen that. It's quite extreme. It's quite brutal.
Yeah, I think someone on X had like a little clip of that particular bit when he visits them.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'll have to give it a try over the weekend if I get a chance, or like before we next do the Wednesday show next week. So it's something I thought about, and like so many people who I kind of respect, who I kind of follow online and kind of respect the opinions of been like bigging it up. So yeah, I need to take a little look.
So yeah, and he has this moment with this judge, who was the judge who allowed these 6 migrants to get away with violating this woman. And he tracks him down and he sort of gives him a lecture. So, because this judge goes on TV saying that these young men just had an adjustment issue. And, it's our fault that we didn't make them welcome in this society, which is almost kind of what you hear in a lot of these instances, these judges letting these people off and sort of saying, the worst one was the German. I think the Iraqi who violated a young boy in a swimming pool, and he got off with it because he claimed he has a sexual emergency. Do you remember that one?
I've not heard of that one. No,
it's just I remember that one. It's absolutely crazy. But since then, I mean, that was crazy at the time. But it's always the same story. There's always some kind of excuse for these people to commit these acts, and we have to cater we have to help. Domesticate them and get them to behave properly, but not by punishing them, but instead by offering them therapy and counselling and who knows what else, and houses and for a lifetime on the of income support or whatever.
I mean, I've seen footage of when they've captured people who've either tried to or successfully assaulted women, and they always come out with this claim that, well, they didn't know it was a bad thing and all this kind of stuff, which is just craziness to even try that, really, to be honest. But I've seen way too many lenient sentences because effectively the judges are saying, well, they didn't know what they were doing, which is just absolute fucking ridiculousness.
Yeah, so Armie Hammer, who plays Michael Sanders, he's got some interesting tattoos, actually. Just trying to get this up here. So this is this. I mean, the sex scene. You don't see anything, but obviously it's suggestive. I don't know if we can see that very clearly, but
I can see them very clearly.
Yeah, I see those very clearly. Right. Trying to make out the tattoos. I'm going to get done for showing them tits on YouTube. Hello, mate. Never mind. I forget that. Well, he's actually got a Kabbalistic. The actor is a Kabbalistic triangle on his chest, which obviously the character is wearing it too, and that represents the water, or the sort of the feminine aspect of the sort of. So the fire that's what the Star of David is. It's those two Kabbalistic triangles, combined.
Yeah.
And he's got this thing called the Aleph on his chest, and Aleph again is the first letter of the Jewish alphabet. So it's just one of those things. It's like, why has he got an Aleph there? I mean, Aleph has Kabbalistic sort of mystical meaning. So is this sharing this Aleph thing here? Yeah, can you see?
Yeah,
this?
I was just looking at myself, the first letter of the Semitic alphabet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, A is a form of Aleph. So he's got this tattoo, the Hebrew Aleph, this thing here.
Yeah.
A is the Phoenician, and what it is, it's a pictogram representing a goat, like a goat's head, or like an ox's head. So if you can see that the A on the side. The proto pictograph was a head of an ox, and there's two legs of the A with the horns. Do you see how that might work?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to turn the A upside down, it would look more clearly like an ox. But if you this sort of idea, can you see this?
Yeah.
Hieroglyph, proto-Semitic,
like a little caterpillar's face.
Well, no, it's an ox. It's not a caterpillar's. Okay.
On the left, the far left, the hieroglyph.
That is a caterpillar's face. Okay. All right. Okay.
Snail's face, maybe the snail.
Believe it's supposed to be an ox's head, as far as modern scholastic research indicates. But I don't know. By all means, the caterpillar. Yeah, it's a cute caterpillar. We've got two eyes. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's a complicated glyph, though, isn't it? If you, it's like, so the A is on its side, it's got a line through, that's fine. But the little caterpillar face is a tiny little thing with two little dots. It's not very sort of like, it's not good calligraphy.
Well, I mean, they didn't have the tools back then, did they?
Well, this is also to the point. I mean, to actually, wouldn't they try and make it as simple as possible? And instead of making it like a little circle with two dots and then two lines coming out. I don't know. I wasn't there, I suppose.
Anyway, listen, we'll take a music break and we'll be back. We'll go until 10. We'll just take a little break, shall we?
Yeah, we'll get into some Sun stuff afterwards.
Yeah. All right, then. I'll play, since we talked about Citizen Vigilante, I'll play Righteous Anger again. This is one of the edgiest videos.
How long? Oh, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I've got righteous anger. 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 I've got righteous anger and shoulder box you cunt. They took your manhood, they took your job, they screwed your family and locked you up. They took your congregation, they took your sword, and now they fucking nick you for praying to our Lord. They ridicule you and your love of God in heaven up above. The sea of east steady decline is tutoring pandering to progressives all the time. I've got righteous anger. 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 I've got righteous anger and shoulder box you cunt. They took my living, they took my wage. Now I can't pay off my mortgage. I'd start a business, but times are tough. I need employment, but I'm not fucking diverse enough. They take your language and twist your words. They redefine till it's absurd. And as for reason, they just don't care. It's always the same bollocks, year after fucking year. My freedom, my liberty in this so-called democracy. I cracked the joke, some cunt didn't get. 10 months of my life gone for posting on the internet. I've got righteous anger, 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 and show the box on you. They took my mother, they took her down, 'cause she was jabbed up, the silly cow. I fucking warned her, gave her the facts, but she would never listen, 'cause she knows I'm anti-vax. They took my missus, they took my tat. We only had a quarrel, she broke my fucking heart. She said it's fucking over, we'll call it fucking quits. And anyway they say I qualify for benefits. They took my favourite, my pride and joy, my son and heir, my only boy. He went to school for half a year. Now he claims he's non-binary, I'm fucking genderqueer. I've got righteous anger, 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 and show the box on you. They broke my daughter, she lost all sense. She screamed about independence. She went on OnlyFans and lost her soul, and now she's always showing off her fanny and bumhole. Daughter, she's only 10, keeps going round with dark-skinned men. I beg the coppers, please make this stop. They said for all the young girls hang out at the kebab shop. They took our handguns, they took our blades, they took our rifles and our grenades. So what we left with, just fucking fists. That's never gonna stop this side of fucking communists. I went downhill, I felt so stressed. The doctor told me I'm depressed. I took his pills to make me sane, and since that day I've never had an erection again. I've got righteous anger, 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 I've got.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, you're okay there, right? So I just found what I was looking for in terms of the tattoo. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So that's actually Armie Hammer's tattoos. He's got a Kabbalistic triangle on his chest. He's got this weird scorpion, but above all, the Aleph. And it's clearly Kabbalistic Jewish sort of symbolism. And yeah, I mean, I can go into that, what that means. So that's all about the Aleph is a representation of what the Kabbalists call the Ein Sof. So it's like unknowable God. And Aleph means Lord or Master or Chief. And so the upper Yod represents the hidden infinite aspect of God, Ein Sof without end. And the lower Yod represents the revealed immanent presence of the divine in creation. The diagonal Vav, whose name means hook, acts as a bridge or connector between the two realms. So it also alludes to humanity. Vav, the sixth day of creation, suggests humility before the divine mystery. So it's all this stuff like Aleph is supposed to function as a balancing mediator between the extremes of fire and water. And fire as a symbol has all of these sort of Kabbalistic Sephiroth names. And water is mercy, whereas fire is judgment. So the Aleph is kind of like represents balancing yin and yang, which is actually what he does say in the film.
I was going to say, so if this is balancing, is this sort of representing what he's doing in the film in terms of balancing things out?
Yeah, it seems to me. I mean, it makes me wonder if we're actually sort of watching something ritualistic in this movie sometimes, you know? I always used to look at movies and realize that, in a sense, some of them were being involved in a ritual. Like the movie, for instance, Fight Club is quite a good one for that. You know, you're sort of in Fight Club. If you look at, the movie Fight Club.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a secret society, and they're basically terrorists, and they destroy these sort of financial part. But they have a secret underground cult. I mean, what you're watching there is. It's also like the movie V for Vendetta, which was an English movie which came out. Do you remember V for Vendetta?
Yeah, and I sampled the movie in one of my old tracks, yeah.
So that's a movie which weirdly came out, I think, a few months. No, it's before that. It was like 2006, wasn't it? Because it came out... 2005. No, well, 2005 was the same year that they had the 777 tube terror attack.
Yep.
And if you remember the movie V for Vendetta, they're using the underground to destroy London. So that was the bombs were on the tubes. Yeah. Similar to what happened in real life. And I sort of wondered if, in a sense, that movie V for Vendetta, it was kind of like implicating the viewer into something that was going to happen. It was like, do you approve this? We're getting you really angry. You want to fight the injustice of the government. You want freedom. So, but what price are you willing to sort of go along with the V and his suggestion that that you use violence and terror to actually get freedom? But then, and what happened in real life? Actually, the movie was echoed in reality a few months later after its release by the 7/7 bombings. Well, and we can know for sure that the 7/7 bombings were not a benign bombing. That was an inside job. So I wonder if this movie is similar to, also, I mean, Fight Club came out before 9/11, right? It was before 2001. It was like 1999.
When I see V,
a year or two before a real destructive terror attack on financial towers in New York, right?
So I've got V for Vendetta is coming out after the 7/7 bombing. So I've got various release dates, 11th December 2005. Then it also says March 17th, 2006 in the US. I'm not sure about that one. Released on DVD in the 2006. So it looks like it come out after, because obviously it was 7th July 2005.
Made before though, but I thought you said it came out in 2000. Okay, I'm not. Okay, America 2006, but it had a premiere in 2005. That's release date December 2005. So that came out after, But then obviously it was
It was in production before.
It was in production, yeah. Strange that the idea of
It is
that,
very weird.
you know, being manifest in the media, but also something that happened in real life, just like Fight Club. But then this movie as well, I mean, we've seen who the production company, we've seen that they are Hebrews who are extremely keen on the rights of their people, and they one of them works for particular organizations that are you know, representation groups for his people. So he would have, since they're presently fighting, you know, a war in Iran and such, and I think what they really want is a massive war between the Arab world and the West. And I just wonder if films like this, I mean, listen, like I said, I enjoyed the film. I mean, it's kind of goofy, it's kind of cathartic, but what will it achieve? And are we not being somehow co-opted somehow to wrongly identify perhaps the migrants themselves as the problem, whereas it's not them, it's the people, it's the NGOs, and it's the legal organizations, and it's George Soros, and it's people like that who are bringing them over, and then specifically encouraging the police departments to give light sentences. So I mean, George Soros isn't an Arab gentleman, but he is time and time again been involved in advocacy groups for migrants and for softer sentences for violence for migrant groups and such. And this is influencing the police every single day in this country. So is it what Tommy Robertson's doing? Are we being shown the wrong enemy? Are we being shown the pawns on the other side of the board and told that they're enemy when really it's the people playing the game? So I'm a bit my mind's made up on whether this film is useful and good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, now we've looked a bit more into, you know, who's behind it and the symbolism you've been showing. It does make me wonder, or it does make me think, to be fair, that this is more sort of like stirring the pot type stuff.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. But anyway, so interesting to talk anyway. I mean, yeah, watch the movie yourself, bro, and get back to us next week and tell us what you thought, if you enjoyed it. I mean, it's very heavy-handed. It's not subtle, but like sometimes it's just simply cartoonish, and you actually kind of enjoy the goofiness of it. But yeah,
the reality is, with the stories that we're seeing recently, more and more, everything's getting more heavy-handed. You know, randomly getting stabbed in the neck. You know, that I always go back to that bloody, if you remember, I think it was late last year or maybe more summertime last year. Do you remember the two little Scottish girls who were brandishing axes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember those girls. Yeah.
You know, it's all getting way heavy-handed, and yes, that's
maybe what you're saying is right, that this movie could just be there to incite everything. You know, I mean, you know, maybe it isn't the right solution to respond with violence. I mean, self-defense, and watching out for your friends and your families and such. But I guess obviously the things he does in the movie are, you know, yeah. I mean, he kills the whole family, for instance, and you know, they make it out that the sister, for instance, is kind of said in a post that the girl deserved to have been violated and such. So, but then he just summarily kills them all. So it's like, you know, this. I don't know. Could it just be something? Are we being incited to do the wrong thing? People being incited to do the wrong thing, and then from like the nutcase who actually watches this and thinks it's talking to him, and he's on a mission, and he's going to be the new, you know, vigilante. He's going to be the hero, saving the little girls. He'll just be what the establishment need. The right-wing bad guy, the right-wing boogeyman, just what they want. They actually, because as we know, with the Southern Poverty Law Center, were funding right-wing neo-Nazis in America because they needed the enemy. They needed the bogeyman of the right-wing violent incel, because then they can they can change the discourse away from migrants, and then they can get back onto blaming white people for everything and further demonizing whites. So maybe that's what I wonder. I'm a bit worried.
And maybe bringing it and using it as an opportunity to bring in some more restrictions of some kind, maybe around social media, maybe around.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a good point. Yeah,
like this, you know. So
I would say this movie isn't quite the free gift that we might think it was. You know, to say it's entertaining seems, you know, but it's that cathartic thing, isn't it? Where you sort of. If life could be like this, if we did have, but at least you feel that someone is saying what needs to be said. But maybe maybe it could lead to something bad. Like do be suspicious of everything, particularly when these Hebrew producers are involved. They don't necessarily have your best interests at heart. They have their people's best interests at heart.
This is why we have this show and why we do this show. Like in terms of like trying to dissect things and get to the truth behind things, not just kind of assuming, okay, this is kind of just this is a sort of interesting sort of attempt to sort of expose things and bring things to light. There could be more to it when you look into it. And now you have looked into it. It's now casting way more doubt on it than I had sort of a few days ago when I last was looking at it. So yeah, no, it's interesting. But this is the thing. You need to do your pun intended.
Due diligence.
Due diligence. Yeah, there you
go.
Always remember to do your
that
due
should
diligence.
be the like the title of the show. This due diligence. Yeah.
That's it. There's always something. If you can always trace it back, do you know what I mean? You can always trace it back. But anyway, onto different matters entirely.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, so we were talking last week, weren't we, about global warming and with it being quite hot last week. It was extremely hot. Hey, by the way, your internet seems to be working just fine now. So I think the Windscribe solution has solved it for you.
Well, yours as well hasn't been dropping out. So did you do anything to change something at your end?
I don't know. I've just been sharing one screen. I think my internet's a bit crummy around here, so I think it's been dropping out when I've been overtaxing the network aspect.
Yeah,
so
I didn't want to say anything. I mean, I thought about saying something about 20 minutes ago, but I was like, do you know what? Let's just get to the end of the show before I say anything. I don't want to jinx it, But yeah, it's been much better.
But yeah, like that thing, like when I asked Grok, I think you told me you had an instance of this. When I asked Grok whether the producers, the production company, I said the production company Quiver, and then it told me the owners. And I said, are they Jewish? And it said no. But yes, Grok said no, but actually yes. And then it's the same thing lately. Grok has had some kind of firm update, and it's no longer our guy. So I asked Grok whether it's possible, whether the sun can be causing earthquakes on Earth, because it's that Stefan Burns thing that we used to look at. He's gone a bit off the wall lately, old Stefan Burns. I have to leave him behind. He's gone a bit balmy, but remember old Stefan Burns?
Yeah,
quite appropriate name because he was always talking about solar activity, wasn't he? And solar storms and X-rays and M-class flares and things like that.
What have you seen of his recently that's made you think that? Then what's he been?
Oh, I've just not really. It just seems to be the one thing I saw is if you hear this, you've got 10 seconds. So he reckons that
his titles are very clickbait.
He reckons that South America could split in two or something if there's a significant geomagnetic storm. It's just, I don't know. I mean, we had a good time with him thinking about Japan being destroyed by an earthquake, do you remember? But fortunately, it didn't happen, right? We're all really pleased about that, of course. But that was quite an adventure. But lately, I just leave him alone. But so anyway, but he would be a great believer that the sun influences, and I think I got the idea really kind of confirm my own thoughts that the sun has an effect on all aspects of Earth, the magnetic field. But I asked Grok, I said, can the sun cause earthquakes? And Grok said categorically no. Studies, there's no correlation between solar activity and earthquakes. Okay, go right. Okay. So what causes earthquakes, Grok? Okay, Grok says earthquakes are caused by geological storms, geomagnetic storms rather. Okay, so it's not caused by the sun. So I said, okay, so what causes geomagnetic storms? And then Grok has to admit, well, the sun actually causes geomagnetic storms. So hang on, Grok. So you just tried to lie to me and fob me off. Because why? Well, because the only reason Grok would deny that the sun can influence the Earth's climate or cause global warming is because he's a paid up shill.
Yeah, he's a shill. He's
Shilling
compromised.
for the carbon credit guys. He's compromised. He's been blackmailed. Maybe his family's been threatened. Who knows?
This is it. He's had a
what
visit.
they've got on him, he's had a visit. Yeah.
He's had a knock at the door. He's opened the door, and there's a couple of suits there. Do you know what I mean?
So someone's put a gun against Grok's neck, which is annoying. But yeah, and the thing is, again, it's the boom. Well, not the boomer level, but most people would be happy with being fobbed off and told, no, the sun has nothing to do with earthquakes. But then when you probe deeper and you look at geomagnetic storms, and then you find that they are actually influenced by solar activities, then you realize there is possibly a causative link between the sun and earthquakes. I think we mentioned this before, didn't we? Did we do an episode last season about the sun trying to kill us or something? We did. We talked about it quite a lot, didn't we? Yeah. So we've gone over. Yeah. So anyway, let's see this. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, no definitive link. However, then he says no definitive causal link has been proven, but then reads a load of statistical reports which indicate that there is a possible link. So this is 2020 Nature Scientific Reports analyzed 20 years of solar wind data, found a significant correlation. Were more likely to occur after one day after decreases in solar proton density. So again, Grok says no with one side of his face and then yes with the other, just like with the Jewish producers of the movie Citizen Vigilante. It's been very sketchy. This is very dodgy. 2025 AGU Geophysical Research Letters. It reported increased likelihoods of strong earthquakes following intense geomagnetic storms, with a noticeable peak 27 to 8 days afterwards. So that's the thing. The earthquake may not happen, not coincide precisely with solar activity that's taking place, but it as has been demonstrated, there's a peak, there's a period of time from which the coronal mass injection or the solar flare interacts with the geomagnetic field of the Earth, geomagnetic activity, and then the possibility of an earthquake is increased as a result of activity. So yeah, that's all. And what's this one? Examine solar flares. Kyoto University proposed a mechanism linking them to specific events, such as the 2024 Peninsula earthquake in Japan, after periods of intense solar activity. Yeah. Other studies have noted higher geomagnetic storm probability after major quakes or correlations with solar wind. So yeah, listen, I mean, I think there's definitely a connection. I mean, we've gone over this before, but if the sun can cause earthquakes potentially on Earth, then it's obvious that it's controlling our weather. This man-made global warming is a load of crap.
Yeah, and can change. It can cause sort of wanderings of temperature. I mean, like I've got a conversation here I was having with Grok on this very subject, where it kind of like does some of the things that you're describing here, and it's talking about, because I asked it, what influence on temperature change does the sun have? Is it say, and I just chucked a number out there as an example, because I lowballed it because I kind of knew what it was going to say. So I said, is it like 0.1 degrees or less or more? And its answer was the sun's influence on global temperature change is small, roughly 0.1 degree or less for the main short-term cycle. Then it goes on to talk about the 11-year solar cycle, saying that the sun's total energy output or total solar irradiance varies by about 0.1% between solar minimum and maximum over its regular 11-year cycle. And so like I read this, and it says this produces a global average surface temperature variation of around 0.1 degree. So it seems to be saying across a solar cycle, no matter what point of the solar cycle the sun is in, you're only seeing an influence of around 0.1 degrees peak to trough. So I'm not sure if that jives with me. I don't know how you think about that.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's it's really dodgy, So yeah, so look, this is the magnetosphere of the Earth, and see the sun has a huge influence on this. So what it is the solar flares. The energy has to be captured by the magnetic field of the Earth, and it's sort of contained within fields of the magnetic field, and then that energy is sort of brought to Earth. So you can often see this when you see aurora in the northern or southern hemispheres. But it's like a visible, manifestation of this energy. So yeah, I think it's without doubt that there's so we keep our eyes on the sun, and then we'll know what's going to happen, basically.
Yeah, I mean, what Grot was also saying to me, it's kind of funny how it sort of like backtracks on itself or kind of like twists itself up, because it was saying to me, and I'll share this actually as soon as you just minimize that. Just bear with me 1 second. So it's a bit easier so you can see it. Why is it not letting me? Oh, hang on, here we go. So it likes to say to me that the past isn't a template for today, but a lot of what it was arguing is that temperatures are much higher today than the past. So if the past isn't a template for today, why are you arguing that, the temperatures being higher now than they used to be in the past is a problem and is going to lead to some sort of apocalypse? But as you can see here, it talks about, natural CO2 shifts, usually slow. We're adding it at a rate unseen in at least the last 66 million years. Far too fast. Look at the way it phrases this. Far too fast for many species and ecosystems to adapt. How do you know that? This is one of my main points about the whole climate change alarmism aspect, that people seem to just presume. Let's just say it is correct that, man-made, climate change is predominantly man-made, that it is the burning of fossil fuels, etc. Let's just say that is true. These people seem to have the lack of extrapolation skills to think that it's all just going to stay the same. It's all just going to stay the same. We're not going to, produce, we're not going to advance tech. We're not going to advance green energy. We're not going to use solar power energy. We're just going to use fossil fuels ad infinitum, decade after decade. There's no thought process there at all that things might change. So this is one of the things that grinds my gears about it, is that, people just can't think forward a little bit and think to themselves, well, even if it was the main driver of climate change and is driving us towards an apocalypse, it's not like we're just going to keep on going towards it, is it? So it's just such a dumb argument to me. It's just frustrating because people are so stuck. They're so psyoped and brainwashed into thinking about the here and now and not looking forward, unless they're looking forward in a sort of apocalyptic sense. Not really doing their proper research and just sort of like, just taking what they read.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, but people don't do research, do they? It's like the last thing that most people in this country are going to do, isn't it? It's a problem, yeah. My people perish for lack of knowledge. That's what's happening to us. Yeah, the laziness, intellectual laziness, depending on the government, the television to do your thinking for you. It just makes you perfectly plump and ready to pluck, fowl of sort of piece of meat for these people to hang up and just like human meat, really. That's what most people are. The level of that. That's how they treat. That's how the government treats them.
Sort of again, like it says here, I mean, it's just very, very presumptive. I mean, it's saying 2025, the third warmest year on record, after the record warm 2024 and very warm, whatever that means, 2023. The last 3 years, 23 to 25, are the three warmest in the instrumental record. Number one, the instrumental record doesn't go back that far, just a few hundred years. The first record was taken in 1659, by the way, in England, I believe, for us, I mean. But this 3 years tells you nothing. Like, what kind of scientific basis can you get out of 3 years? How can you, plan into how can you make a future prediction of 3 years of data? So it's just all bollocks, really, and it's all just kind of presumptive bollocks, and it's just
well, in the 70s they were talking about the impending ice age.
Exactly.
And I guess nobody bought that, so they just figured we'll just fucking do a 180, we'll just flip it now. Oh, now I'm going to boil to death. Earth's gonna cook to death.
I mean,
This all it is really, Future Shock. It's just a cycle, and it'll no doubt change soon if it is even getting hotter. I mean, that's debatable. I mean, maybe it is, but it's just a solar cycle, and then maybe in 2030 and 2040 we'll start freezing to death. Who knows? But
this is what the mainstream.
It's not something we can do anything about. Though. It's the sun, isn't it? That's the point.
Well, this is the shit that the mainstream people are fed through the mainstream that I've highlighted here. So this is just about the latest kind of like heat wave that we've had. Right at the bottom of the report, by the way, I know which is by the report is written by Elizabeth Rizzini. Elizabeth, I don't know, anyway, make of that what you will. But what we do know is that heat waves in the UK are become not even fucking spell check properly, are becoming more intense and frequent due to human-induced climate change. Full stop. No mention of it could be possibly anything else. It's 100% due to human-induced climate change.
I'll become more intense and frequent. Blimey. Maybe it was just AI. AI would do a better job than that article would actually be better if it was written by AI.
And just the language, it's just done to scare people. More extreme forecast temperatures of 35 degrees. Nah, mate, for me, extreme is if you're like telling me it's going to be 48 degrees, 49 degrees. 35
it was frigging hot last week, though. It was horrible.
It's buggy. It's not pleasant. It's the pollution of London. It's not great, but it's not an.
Well, it was all right. I mean, it was just I could hardly think. It was like doing the show in that temperature was so hard, and I think that's why our computers kept going.
Yeah, I think so,
they just needed a nice lolly and a 99 or something.
Yeah, man, definitely.
They were overheating. It was wild, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's good though. At least you've had a summer then, don't you? It's like if you get 2 or 3 good days like that, you'll be happy. You don't mind too much when August is just pissing it down every day. You think at least we fucking had those 40-degree heat. We sweat their asses off.
But this is the thing. It is that, but it seems to be that it's just a little bit more volatile, the weather, because now we're back down to like 23, 24 degrees when last week it was 10 degrees more. And so for me, that's more indicative of a kind of like a sort of star-related issue. Because surely if it was just a gradual increase of like man-made human climate change thing, it would be the volatility wouldn't be there. It would just be like this steady climb of temperature.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a good point. Yeah, it's volatility of this. It's the cycle. I mean, whether it's the 11-year cycle, but there are lots of different cycles within cycles with solar activity. I mean, there was the Maunder minimum in the Middle Ages where it sort of basically the River Thames froze over and it was extremely cold. So it's just periodical. It'll change.
Well, wasn't there the Carrington event back in, I think it was 1808? Was it 1808? The Carrington
that was
event?
a solar flare. I think it was later than 1808 because it was in the era of telegraphs. And the Carrington event, it was the solar energy, the solar flare was so powerful that they found that they could actually send telegraphs without needing electricity. They actually disconnected the equipment.
Yes,
and it was insane. It was the messages were sent on the natural solar energy, the radiation that was coming in the solar. It's incredible, mind-blowing. In fact, I mean, we talked about the Carrington event, but it's something always wonderful to talk about. I mean, we might revisit that kind of stuff next week.
Yeah, I mean, they could read at night. They would be sitting out at night reading their newspapers to the Northern Lights. They were just lighting.
Oh, is that right? That's incredible. Wow, that's I didn't hear that, but that's loads of amazing stuff, wonderful stuff. Yeah, great. Well, listen, we're going to finish off here.
Yeah, man, got to bounce now. So
I'm just going to play out with this AI video. Amelia, have you heard of Amelia?
No.
You've not seen this character?
Oh, no, I haven't seen
it. Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to play out with this. I'll play this and I'll end the show, and you can go around go about your business now if you like. Well, thanks for being on the show, Future Shock. Always a pleasure. Nice to talk to you.
Man. We will be back next week, of course, 8 p.m. as usual next Wednesday.
The football isn't going to coincide with it, is it?
No, I mean the England game is next. The England game's Sunday at 1 a.m.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, they're playing Mexico. Yeah.
Mexico, yeah. Yeah,
They'll
it's going to
need
be a
that
tricky one.
oxygen break after the hydration break. God, this hydration break. What do you think of it all? I mean,
Fucking horrendous, isn't it?
it's stupid as hell, isn't it? It's just like time out, isn't it? It's like, you know.
It's making it into quarters. It's just like,
Yeah.
I get
There'll
it.
be more advertising possibilities if they can have like, you know, three breaks, the halftime break, and then hydration break, sponsored by Pepsi Cola in association with Gatorade. And you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah, it's literally just for advertising. Because if it wasn't for advertising, what they would do is they would just decide it on a game-to-game basis. So it's like, okay, we're playing at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We'll have the hydration breaks.
It was actually pissing it down in one. It was pissing it down in a few of the matches, and they still took the hydration break. Just open your mouth and run around a bit, bro. You'll get gallons down here, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we did it before for about like 100 years, 130 years. We've been playing football, and in all
They're
kinds
just
of
trying to reinvent the game, have like extra more quarters,
nonsense.
Nonsense.
But anyway, thank you everyone for listening.
All right, guys, keep tumbling. I'll play out with this video, which is pretty cool, and see you all next week.
In a bit.
Have a good weekend, then, and see you next week, mate. Cheers.
It was not part of their blood. It came to them very late. It was long arrears to make good when the English began to hate. They were not easily moved. They were icy willing to wait till every count should be proved ere the English began to hate. Their voices were even and low, their eyes were level and straight. There was neither sign nor show when the English began to hate. It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the English began to hate. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly abate. Through the chill years ahead, when time shall count from the date that the English began to hate.